Well, today is the first day of my Points of the Compass challenge. This is a unique challenge. I'm going to be visiting the most easterly point, the most southerly point, the most westerly point and the most northerly point on the Scottish mainland. Part of the reasons I want to do this is because it's a journey I've never done before. But the other reason I want to do this is because it's a good challenge with which to evaluate the competence and strength of the Scottish public charging network. So let's get in the car and let's go for a nice drive. Right, let's go for a drive. Okay, let's be on our way. Okay, so we have got 93% charge this morning. I've charged it up overnight, but silly me, I forgot to set the charge limit to 100%. So I had a last minute charge up whilst having my breakfast and making my lunch. So we're going to be on our way to Peterhead this morning, and we're going to see what the most easterly point of the Scottish mainland looks like. At a distance of 40 miles, Peterhead is the easiest point of the compass to reach from my house. The journey time takes just over an hour, and it takes familiar roads passing through country routes, taking in the small towns of Old Meldrum and Ellen along the way. Once we reach the A90, then we've got some high-speed cruising to get to Peterhead, and all of this is familiar territory for me. So there's no particular challenge with reaching Peterhead at this stage. Well, here we are in Peterhead, and we are going to be heading out to the most easterly point, which is just along from the harbour wall. It's a fishing area, a fishing part of Peterhead, and from what I've seen on Google Maps, it's not exactly the most tourist-friendly area, but we'll go and have a look and see what's what. And then we'll turn left here. So we've got some warning lights about waves overtopping the harbour wall here. Whoop. Okay, so we had 81% predicted charge when we started off, and we have arrived with 82%, so that is 207 watt hours per mile, typical temperature 9 to 12 degrees. Well, this is definitely a working town, that's for sure. You won't find too many tourists wanting to go and visit the most easterly point, but it's nonetheless it's quite an interesting place. So what we have over here is the fishing part of the town. Lots of fish lorries as well. So this is the Queenie Brig. This is a drawbridge which separates the fishing harbour, the inland fishing harbour, with the main with the main harbour. If we go here, have a look here. This is quite a sheltered part of the harbour, that's for sure. Looking over the other side, some of the bigger fishing trawlers that you get. So we turn down this road here, right next to these large storage tanks. Not exactly the most scenic of roads to walk down, that's for sure. Lots of construction going on. Looks like a nice big warehouse coming on here. So here is the most easterly point on mainland Scotland, or at least the most easterly publicly accessible place in mainland Scotland. So this is private property just beyond here. This is there's not much to see, to be honest, so we'll just head back. So I think you could say that Peterhead could do a lot to develop the most easterly point on mainland Scotland. It really should be a tourist attraction, and yet, as you can see, it's very much a working area. But that doesn't mean to say there's nothing to see in Peterhead for a tourist. You can go to the Peterhead Prison Museum, for example. I'll tell you something, that's a really fascinating place to go. But further south of Bodham, there's another beautiful location. Okay, time to get back in the car and let's get on to the next location. We'll go here, Supercharger Perth. Let's see where we're going to go. And it reckons 35% charge at Perth Supercharger. So let's get on our way and let's get out of here. Well, as promised, I am taking you to a very scenic location which is just south of Peterhead and Bodham. This is called the Mull of Buchan. Very short diversionary walk, and we'll just see what we have here. I can promise you it's very spectacular. So we are a short diversion off the A90. This is the main road going to Cruden Bay, and down here we have a very spectacular location. So here's the last cottage, and now we head along here. Could you just imagine living in one of these cottages, having this view? I think it'll be quite spectacular. So just over here, these are the Mull of Buchan, and look what we have just here. Quite a sight there. Very impressive. Here we've got more cliffside locations here. I think you can all agree this is definitely worth coming to visit. And the thing is that the coastline around here is absolutely magnificent. It's not just south of Peterhead. We've got beaches north of Peterhead, which can carry on for some distance, almost all the way to Fraserburgh. They go past this lighthouse called Dunnett Head. It's definitely worth visiting. So you can loop round this cove here and take this small footpath. It's quite narrow in places, but let's take a look. I've been here many times, but I don't think I've ever looped around here. Let's just see what it's like. It's not too bad here. There are one or two spots where it's a bit narrow. Let's just see. Certainly quite a lot of growth. Whoop. Quite a view down there. Few seagulls here. Hello. Yes, I know. Yeah, it's narrow, but it's not too bad. Though I haven't finished it. Oh, there's quite a drop there, that's for sure. Didn't really notice it. It's just concentrating more on the footpath. Oh, let's have a look. Yes, I think this is the narrowest bit. Let's just take my foot off there. Let's see. Oh, this is very narrow. Yes. Whoop. Just 2 steps and that's it. Right, let's get back to the car. Wow. Just a really spectacular location. So this bit here is literally about 10 steps off. That's your narrow point right there. So between here and the Mull of Galloway, there won't be too many more tourist. In fact, I don't think there will be any more tourist diversions. But in this instance, I really couldn't help myself come up, visit the Pillars of Buchan. It's definitely worth your time. The journey down to Perth Supercharger is a familiar one. I've covered it on several videos in the past, but on each of those videos I've only done it at night time. This is the first time I've actually shown a video of me driving down to Perth Supercharger during the daytime, and what a glorious day it was as well. Lovely warm sunshine and relatively benign traffic conditions all the way until Dundee. Unfortunately, the traffic at Dundee was predictably congested at that particular traffic light crossroads, but once I was beyond that, it was plain sailing all the way to Perth Supercharger. Well, here we are at the Broxton roundabout, and we are going to be turning right here and we will get our supercharge. Okay, let's get our charging going. Right, so that's us charging up. One thing I want to talk about is my charging strategy here. It's different to driving to the south of England. When I'm driving to the south of England, I charge up just enough to get to the next supercharger. I don't need any more charge than this. But here, my next destination is not going to be a supercharger. It's going to be a rapid charger. And the charging speed at a rapid charger is typically around 40 kilowatts, even if it says 50 kilowatts on the nameplate. I haven't had anything faster than 35, but at the same time, I haven't had any more experience than just a couple of rapid charges. So given that the price of electricity here is 39 pence per kilowatt hour, and given that the price of electricity elsewhere can be as much as 75 pence per kilowatt hour, I want to spend as much time as I can here to get as much charge given the price of electricity here. But let's have a look at the rest of the Perth Supercharger facilities to see what's going on. I think it's worth just having a look at the facilities we got here. There are toilets in this building here, so they're open until 9:30, and they have toilets here, which is good. So if we go outside of the park and ride facilities, there are other facilities. If we go across to here, yes, here's the McDonald's. So yeah, it's not too far. It's only about 2 to 3 minutes walk from the superchargers. So that's adequate for your facilities here. Well, here are the developments which are going on at Perth Park and Ride. We have got this solar canopy going up, and yeah, there's a little bit more development compared to last time I was filming at Park and Ride. We've also got these pits here for new chargers. I can count about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pits, and there's some more pits on the other side of those trees there. One thing you'll note, last time I was here, or at least during the daytime the last time I was here, these chargers were all fully occupied, and now you've got plenty of choice of slow chargers. At least 2 of the rapid chargers are boxed off, fenced off, should I say. They're probably going to be replaced with newer ones. So what's the difference between now and last year? Well, 1st of January they started charging money for all Perthshire Council chargers. So it's now, I think it's 50p per kilowatt hour for a rapid charge there. So it's more expensive than the Tesla chargers. It might be 35p, but anyway, 3's a magic number, and you no longer have that magic number anymore. So we are now fully charged up, and we're now on our way to the Mull of Galloway lighthouse. So we charged up from 32% to 87%. In that time, there was time for the toilet, there was time for some food, there was time to just have a look around and see what was available in terms of facilities. And then there was also time to wash the windscreen, get rid of all the bugs. And that was enough time, and then I got up to 87%. So I haven't been wasting time here at all. There hasn't been any time to just chill out or relax or anything like that. Next part of my journey, 3 hours 32 minutes. There were no problems driving down to Glasgow, all free-flowing traffic. But at Glasgow, I had a few more words to say about matters in the area. Well, here we are, approaching the M8 in Glasgow, and I thought I'd just have a little spiel about some of the charging facilities in Glasgow and how they've changed. And since I purchased this car in Glasgow, the answer is that ever since I picked up this car, there haven't been any new superchargers in this city. In fact, there are no superchargers as it is right now. There has been talk of plans for superchargers at the Glasgow service centre, but every time I see those plans laid forth, they always get delayed until the next quarter and so on. But now there is some different news. Gridserve has stepped up to the plate. They are talking about making a planning application for a charging hub in Rutherglen, just off the M74. That's quite interesting. I think I can't remember the precise number of chargers. So in quotations, there are going to be 4 branded chargers at the Gridserve hub. And I'm just thinking to myself, well, those 4 branded chargers could well be Tesla superchargers. Now, do I think that's enough? I don't think 4 for a major city like this is enough. But Gridserve having, I think it's either 10 or 12 of their own chargers, I think that's going to be a good step, shall we say, but I don't think it will be sufficient. One other thing, on the 1st of June in Glasgow city centre, just to the left of me, south of the M8, east of the M8 and north of the Clyde, the city centre is going to be the first ever low emission zone in Scotland, with enforcement coming into effect on the 1st of June. What does that mean? It means if you drive a non-compliant vehicle into Glasgow city centre, you will be fined £60. If you continue to drive in on subsequent journeys, that fine will double, and it will continue to double up to a maximum fine of £480. Now, my old Volkswagen Golf, for example, a 15 reg diesel, will not be legal to drive in the middle of Glasgow. And for petrol cars, anything which is not Euro 4 compliant in terms of emissions will also be illegal to drive in. Now, Euro 4 compliant vehicles are, I think they're new, any petrol car which is newer than the year 2004, basically. So those are the rules coming in. There are very few exemptions. I think the only exemptions apply to local residents. They get a temporary extension, and taxi drivers. But buses and vans and lorries, they all have to comply with the regulations. Now, there's all sorts of comments that people can make about it. A lot of opposition towards it. But there's going to be one major question, and that is, will it actually reduce emissions? Will it actually reduce the emissions levels? And were the emissions levels in the first place high? Now, I've travelled to South Korea, and I'm fully aware of how polluted that environment can be, especially given its close proximity to China. Emissions levels over there are astronomically bad. But this being Glasgow, certainly in my adulthood, I've never known this place to be to have particularly bad air pollution. Now, of course, if you are a lot older, I'm sure you can remember a lot of heavy industry in Glasgow, and you could probably imagine that pollution would have been much, much worse in this city. But in modern times, I've never known it to be all that bad at all. So there's going to be some interesting effects coming off the back of Glasgow, and Edinburgh, Dundee and Aberdeen are going to be following suit with their own low emission zones enforcement next year. Okay, so we're coming up to the M77, and we will be turning off here on our way to Ayr and then onwards to Dumfries and Galloway. The onward journey on the M77 was uneventful to Kilmarnock. Beyond that, it turns into the A77, and we end up in Ayr, where it turns from a dual carriageway into a single carriageway. Now, this is a route which I've only done once before, back in New Year, and I have been unfamiliar with the route beyond Girvan. What I will say is that beyond Girvan especially, it becomes a very scenic route indeed. Now, our arrival down at Cairnryan also coincided with the unloading of the Stena Line ferry, and at that point we had a lot more traffic to contend with on the remaining distance down to Stranraer. Now, I do have to say that while the distance from Perth Supercharger to the Mull of Galloway may only be 135 miles, you've got to be mindful of the fact that measured in motorway cruising speeds, that's one thing, but the roads beyond Ayr are a lot slower than what you'd have on a motorway. All told, it took 3 hours and 45 minutes to get from Perth Supercharger to the Mull of Galloway. And the last section, all on minor roads, while it may only be 20 miles, it does take a psychological toll on you. So we are very nearly at the Mull of Galloway. Just over a mile to go. It's quite a small road, but it can be congested at times with lots of tourist traffic. But I've managed to get past a number of cars, so this is good, and we haven't got too far to go now. So here we are, Mull of Galloway car park. Right, let's get out of here. So here we are, Mull of Galloway Lighthouse. We'll take a look this way. So just following signposts to Lagvag Point. So we'll have a look and see whether this is the most southerly point. It's quite interesting what we can see over here. I think this is due east. That's Scotland. I can't see much of England at all, but I can just about see the Isle of Man over there. So that's quite interesting. The other thing to see is the confluence of different sea currents. It's quite churning water here, and you can just see how the currents flow around the Mull of Galloway. So here we are, the southernmost point of Scotland. Very nice. So on this journey I've been travelling now for about 330 miles, and I'm about as far away from my house as I can be on this particular leg of the journey. So now what we're going to do is head north to Stranraer. I'm going to look for some charging at Stranraer, and hopefully that will then get us enough charge to get us to our next charging point further in the central belt. All told, I spent about 20 minutes at the Mull of Galloway doing some filming, and that wasn't really enough time to get properly rested. So what I did was that I travelled north to Stranraer, where I could get a bit more rest and my car could get properly recharged. Okay, I've been here before. This is Dumfries and Galloway. This is Mill Street, I believe. This one here is out of order. You can see here there's a red light. It does show as available on the Chargeplace Scotland app. And I parked up here first and it didn't work. These ones here are 7 kilowatts. I know those ones work, that's fine. So I'm parked here. There's another rapid charger, and if we go in here, there we go, 43 kilowatts. So that's not too bad. So I'm going to plan my next route, and I need to get a drink or two, and then I'll have a chat about some other matters. Well, here is a car park which doesn't look particularly remarkable, except for the fact that Tesla has submitted a planning application for installing 4 version 4 superchargers in this car park. So that's excellent news for people in this corner of Scotland. And of course, it does matter in this part of the world, because we do have the Cairnryan ferry terminals not too far away, which is your main link from the mainland of Great Britain to Northern Ireland. So that's excellent news. Other news is that on the M74 there is construction going on at Annandale Services at Johnston Bridge. There are, I think it's 10 Gridserve ultra rapid chargers going in there, and there are 8 Tesla superchargers going there. The other thing that's happened is that also just off the M74 at Moffat, Tesla has put in a planning application for 8 version 4 superchargers. So we're now starting to see on core routes some high power chargers coming in. But in the meantime, today I just have to make do with 43 kilowatts. Right, well, I've now got 62% charge, and our next destination is going to be Paisley, and there is a 150 kilowatt MFG charger station there. They've got 8 chargers there, and that will get us just enough charge to get up to Fort William. So let's go this way. So one of the things I wanted to talk to you about when it came to the Stranraer experience of charging up was that I didn't spend very much time waiting at all. In fact, I spent no time at all. I went for a walk down to the beachfront, to the seafront, and then I went into Tesco's to buy some food and drink, and then I came back. And I just had a drink of Coke, and I wanted to look for a post box. And then by the time I'd done all of that, I had 63% charge, which was up from the 30% charge. So 43 kilowatts does charge up reasonably quickly. And if you do these other things whilst you're charging, that's fine. Now, Dumfries and Galloway, they are one of the cheaper chargers out there. They're about 25 pence per kilowatt hour. MFG, I think they're about 78 pence per kilowatt hour. So it's in my interest at the MFG charger to spend as little time as possible charging there. But I also want to review the performance. In theory, it's 150 kilowatt chargers. In practice, it may be quite a bit different. Now, the route north back up the A77 and M77 was just as uneventful as it was heading south. The one thing I was quite unfamiliar with was the intersection between the M77 and the M8. It's not entirely obvious when you look at a map how you're supposed to get from the M77 northbound onto the M8 westbound, but believe me, there is a route. And we spent a short distance on the M8 getting to Glasgow Airport, where we were then on the hunt for our next charging location. Turn right into here. In theory, it should just take a debit card payment, so we'll just see how that works. Okay, so what we have done, step 1, you plug in, and then step 2, you go around to here, and you just simply swipe your debit card and then it is good to go. So it's giving me 75 kilowatts of power, so it's a lot less than 150 kilowatts, but now I need to get enough charge to get me to Fort William. So it's coming up to what, 7 o'clock in the evening, 6:45. So time for some snacks and some toilet. Well, this is something I didn't see on my way in. You need to register your electric car if you're going to charge here. This is the sign you get when you come in, and then once you come in, you just get all your attention is on this right here. But this sign here, please remember to register your car with the cashier. So easy to that's such an easy thing to not see, and yet you've got to be careful in these places. It's really perilous business. If you don't register it, after 15 minutes they'll give you a parking charge notice. I don't know how much it will cost. There's a yellow sign over there. I'm sure it will be something like 100 quid, but be very careful if you're using these kinds of chargers. So now I've got 53% charge, and it's a 99-mile drive to Fort William. It's predicting 26% charge when I get there. I reckon it's going to be more like 15%, but I haven't waited here at all. I've just had a sandwich, toilet stop, and a drink, and now it's time to unplug. So what do we do here? We just click on that, I suppose. Click on this, and then we select stop, and then it's time to unplug like that. Push that in, and then we're done. Now, whilst I take the usual route from Glasgow up to Fort William, I wanted to comment a little bit more about the MFG Ultra Rapid experience. Now, quite aside from the need to register your electric car in order to avoid parking charge notices and the absurdly high price per kilowatt hour of 79p, there was a lot which this charger did right. I did not have any account with MFG, and yet I was able to plug in my car, tap my debit card, and I was charging. This, in my opinion, is the way that all commercial chargers should be. It should be as easy and seamless as possible to gain access to the electricity that you have paid for. Now, one side effect of all of this is that there's no printed receipt. Now, most people don't care, but some business travellers, especially those people that have to put in receipts for fuel, will certainly care a lot about these kind of details. Personally, I think the way to overcome this is to have a QR code that you scan with your phone, and you get a receipt on your phone which you can then use to submit expense claims. There's certainly no need for any printer to be included in these machines, and I think a straightforward software update can make such a facility available with almost no capital expenditure whatsoever. One of the thoughts I've been having since my announcement about the superchargers being planned is where do people want new superchargers? Now, my opinion is that they should build out capacity at the existing supercharger sites, especially on the M74, and that certainly seems to be what's happening. But I also think they need to add a few more sites. Stirling, for example, would be a very good crossroad between two major trunk routes, one going into the Highlands and of course one going up to Perth. I also think Tyndrum, which is coming up, is also a good location for superchargers. Lots of people stop there anyway, and it makes a lot of sense to add maybe 4 to 8 superchargers there at the Green Welly stop. But I also think peripheral locations such as Oban, Kyle of Lacouche, Ullapool, Thurso, they should have superchargers as well, but not 8-stall superchargers. I'm thinking maybe even just 2-stall superchargers would be sufficient, unless of course they're open to everyone, in which case they should increase it to 4-stall superchargers. So I'm just interested in your thoughts on the matter. Do you think that's a good idea, having superchargers in peripheral locations as well as core routes? Let me know in the comments. So it was about 8:45 in the evening by the time we were hitting Ballachulish and Loch Linney. It wasn't too far to go before Fort William and our next supercharging stop. I was very glad for the stop when we did get there. Okay, here we are, Fort William. It's been a long trip. It's been a very long trip. But there's my Mickey D's. We're at 19% state of charge, which is perfectly fine. And we'll turn right into here. Plenty of chargers to choose from. Okay, let's get this car charged up. So this is a version 3 supercharger. So the charging speed at this state of charge is 197 kilowatts. So let's get some Mickey D's now. Okay, so we're now going to be taking the road to Glenfinnan. We've charged up to 90% and we're going to take the road to Glenfinnan, find a quiet lay-by to park the car, and we're going to try either some sleeping in the car, or we will just put the tent up next to the car and bed our heads down for the night. So at the moment we are east of Glenfinnan. We're just looking for a place to pull over and lay our heads for the night. Ideally I'd like something that's a bit off the road so there's no road noise, and ideally something with a patch of grass as well, so I can just put my tent up for the night and then be up and away nice and early in the morning. But we'll see what we can find. Well, good morning, and here we are at my campsite. It's just a lay-by and I've managed to put my tent up. So what we're going to do is pack up this morning and continue on our journey to Ardnamurchan Point. Right, that's me all packed. Now, I went to the Ardnamurchan Peninsula and Ardnamurchan Point on a New Year's holiday from 2021 to 2022. There's a lot of detail on that previous video, but suffice to say, this road is not a road you should underestimate. It may only look like it's 25 miles long from Salon to Ardnamurchan Point, but it takes well over an hour to complete, especially in the summertime when there's a lot of traffic. However, on this morning it was 6 AM and I did not have any traffic to contend with. So whilst we're in Kilchoan, I wanted to also check one particular point about the car charger in the ferry terminal. Well, here I am back in Kilchoan ferry terminal, and last time I was here this charger did not work. In fact, it was an old rusty charger which had seen quite a lot of maritime corrosion. This time I thought I'd come back here again. It's a free charger and it shows as available. And what do we have here? We've got a brand new charger, and what am I charging at? I'm charging at 51 kilowatts, which is really remarkable for a DC rapid charger on the Chargeplace Scotland network. Now, do I need to charge up? Well, I can always make it to plenty of other chargers, but the fact of the matter is that you don't say no to a free charge opportunity. Now, as you can see, the weather isn't so good this morning, but it is supposed to clear up and improve. So I just thought to myself, well, I can afford to spend a little bit of time before going to Ardnamurchan Point. So here you are, Kilchoan ferry terminal, Chargeplace Scotland, working. and we're 70 miles away from Fort William, which is the next nearest charger on the mainland. So after 15 minutes, we had charged up from 67% to 90%, and we were on our way for the remaining 15-minute drive to Ardnamurchan Point. The weather still wasn't on our side just yet, but it was about to change. Right, here we are at Ardnamurchan Point. So we're here, and this charger does seem to be in operation now. However, there is a tariff for this one, so just as well we charged up at Kilchoan. What we're going to do is head to the most westerly point, which is not Ardnamurchan Point. It's about a kilometre south of here. So we go back along the road, and then we go essentially to that headland over there. Sadly, I do not have my wireless microphone. It doesn't seem to be wanting to charge up for some reason, but we're on the road here, and now we head across this boggy land to get to the headland. So Ardnamurchan Point, very much a tourist attraction, plenty of parking spaces, but the actual most westerly point, no tourist facilities at all. We just have to make our own way. Well, this really is rough stuff. So where are we now? There's our lighthouse. So let's just carry on here. There is a faint path of sorts, but very easy to lose quite frequently. I'm surprised this path isn't bigger. It's almost like people just don't celebrate the latitudinal and longitudinal extremities of Great Britain, which is a bit of a shame. Okay, so we are very close to the most westerly point. We've got this lovely little beach here, and I could just imagine some people going camping here as well. It's very pretty. Lovely little example of maca. But we can see the most westerly point up there with the big cairn, so not too far away now. And here's a cairn marking most westerly summit, and now we can actually see the islands out to the west. So what have we got? Let's just head down here. So further west from here, I think that could be the Isle of Coll. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think it's an interesting point. Further north, I think we've got the small isles. I can't remember which one is which, but that's either Muck or Canna. And the Isle of Skye and the Isle of Rum, not visible just yet. Now the forecast is for the weather to continue improving now, so I'm fairly confident that this is the last of the showers that we've suffered now. Well, here we are. I'd say realistically I can claim that this is the most westerly point. So that's the third point of the compass now backed. We've just got Dunnett Head to do now, so we're going to get back to the car and proceed with that very long drive up to Dunnett Head. The journey from Ardnamurchan Point to Rose Street Supercharger in Inverness was 136 miles. We started at 9 o'clock in the morning, and we didn't get to Rose Street until 2 o'clock in the afternoon. It was a 5-hour grueling journey. We started at about 87% and we finished at about 40%. The journey back along the Ardnamurchan Road was punctuated very frequently with oncoming vehicles, lots of tourists coming along at just after 9 o'clock. Once we were on the main road, we had roadworks at one point which closed the road for 15 minutes. We had a swing bridge and a drawbridge crossing the Caledonian Canal at 2 locations, which caused another 10-minute delay with a massive build-up of traffic. We had one road collision with police directing cars and stopping cars for a period of time, and generally speaking there was a massive excess of 35-mile-an-hour driving on the A82. Is it a journey I could recommend? Yes it is, but only out of season around November, February, October time. Certainly not a route I would recommend doing in the middle of spring or summertime. Add to that the fact that I was still hungry, I hadn't had breakfast, and one golden rule of driving on the road is that when you are looking for a cafe, you can be absolutely certain you won't find one that serves bacon rolls anywhere. Okay, so we are now approaching the Tesla Supercharger in Inverness. So it's in this multi-storey car park called Chapel Street. In here. Tesla Superchargers, we turn left. That way, okay. It's definitely a ball joint which is failing. Right, let's see. This one here, I think that's 1A, B, C, D. Okay. Right, there we go. Well, one thing you should note is that, yes, it's a pay and display car park. Yes, you pick up a ticket on the way in and you're supposed to pay on the way out or pay before going on the way out. But here, as you can see, if you press help at the exit barrier, you'll be released without charge if you are supercharging. We're finally out of Inverness onto the Keswick Bridge and northbound to Dunnett Head along the A9 predominantly. One thing I will say is that the predicted charge at Dunnett Head car park is 75%. And given that we are at 88% already and we've got 117 miles of driving to do, I'm going to say that's completely inaccurate. One of the things I noticed was that the predicted range has been going a bit off since we left Perth Supercharger. It was predicting, for example, with Mull of Galloway that we would get there with 52% charge, and in the end we got there with about 38%. However, going to Peterhead and going to Perth Supercharger, those were fine in terms of predicted range. So I'm not too sure what's going on, but nonetheless, I've got a charge up to 90% at Inverness Supercharger, and I think I was only staying there for about 30 minutes. It was enough time for all the usual necessities, and then back on the road. But unfortunately, yes, I do. It does look like I've got a creaking ball joint symptom on my car, so I'm going to have to request a service on that, and hopefully they'll get it fixed. It seems to be a common issue with Tesla Model 3s, and hopefully that will be sorted out under warranty. Now I'm going to have to say that what I'm doing here is plan B of my Points of the Compass challenge. Plan A was to take the ferry from Mallig to Armadale and then take a route going up the west coast of Scotland, where I was going to go and camp overnight at Inverness and then get to Dunnett Head the following day. That plan did not transpire simply because the bookings on the Calmac ferry were full up as far as cars were concerned. That was a real shame, but nonetheless, this journey up the A9 beyond Goslpie gets extremely beautiful in terms of the scenery. Once you're above Helmsdale, the road is very, very high up indeed, probably about 100 to 200 metres above the cliffs, and you've got a panoramic view which looks south over the Moray Firth and north into the Caithness moorland, the flow country as it's called. Okay, so we are very nearly at Dunnett Head now. So here we go. That's not bad. Right, I'm going to park just here. That should be perfect. I always park into the wind. Right, so here we have Dunnett House. So we're not allowed in this area here. It's private access only, but we can walk down here. And as you can see in the distance, we've got the Orkney Islands, and in between we've got the Pentland Firth. And yeah, what we have here is probably gusting gale force winds up here. I'm just trying to shield the microphone away from the wind, because my wireless microphone still has got a battery charging issue for some reason. But look at these waves. I mean, it wasn't that wavy this morning at Ardnamurchan Point, but yeah, this sea state is it's looking like a rough sea state. Look at this. Look at that. That's quite an impressive cliff. Really do appreciate that. I think it's far too windy to take the drone out, that's for sure. But this is an RSPB site. So yes, the most northerly point in Great Britain and the most northerly point on mainland Scotland. So this is very nice. So if you look a bit further east, you can see the North Caithness coast extending eastwards. Quite a hazy day today. The cloud has cleared eastwards and southwards, and we're just left with this sunshine now. So time to get back to the car. So when we departed Inverness, it was about 2:30, and we got to Dunnett Head 113 miles later with 51% charge, given that we started out with 90% charge. By the time we got to Dunnett Head, I had been doing quite a lot of driving, but it was now time to find a place to fill up with fish and chips, and then find another place with which to rest my head. So here I am in Goslpie. I've been here before, back in June 2022. So I plugged in here. This costs 35 pence per kilowatt hour. It will deliver 12 kilowatts of charging for me. And here, the rapid chargers in Highland Council, they will deliver 70 pence per kilowatt hour at 50 kilowatts, assuming they actually work. That's got a red light on it. So my plan, generally speaking, is to reduce journey times, but that doesn't come at the infinite cost of price. I'll charge up here whilst I'll be getting some fish and chips, and then in the morning time I'll make a journey to Inverness, where I'll probably use the Superchargers, or go to Moray Council, where I use some of the rapid chargers whilst having breakfast. So that's my plan, and for now it's time for fish and chips. So this is trawler fish and chips. They're the best fish and chips I've ever had, and had them about 10 years ago, so I'll be trying them again today. Okay, let's give this trawler fish and chips a go. They are nice. If you're ever on the A9 and you're driving north or south and it's getting close to dinner time, always stop at Goslpie, get yourself a trawler fish and chips. We started off with 29% charge, and we've ended up with 36% charge and a full stomach full of fish and chips. And now we're ready to find the next spot to lay our heads for the night. Well, here I am, parked in a woodland just south of Goslpie, and here's my tent. So I'm going to be staying here for the night. The car generated an error saying automatic hold was disabled as soon as I parked up here. and that strikes me as being very odd indeed. Hoping there isn't anything untoward. I rebooted it and that seemed to reset the problem, but I'm a bit suspicious actually, so I'm going to be requesting a service and see what they say. So no errors this morning, which is good. I know you're asking the question, why is it dark? Isn't this May? And the answer is yes, it is May. But I've decided to press on with my journey. I didn't get such good sleep last night in my tent, and we're about 2.5 hours drive time back home plus charging time. So we'll just press on with all of this. Right, here we are on the A9 and just north of Dornoch. With the exception of wildlife on the roadside, such as rabbits and deer, the roads were otherwise completely empty at 3:30 in the morning. I arrived at the Keswick Bridge maybe about 4 o'clock in the morning, and the light was starting to gather strength, and I had about 16% charge, reduced from 31% charge when I started off my drive. So I decided to press on to Forres and then get a recharge at the rapid charger in one of their public car parks. Okay, so we are now approaching Forres and we have 7% charge. So obviously I didn't go to the Supercharger in Inverness. I just deemed it as being too much driving in the wrong way, and I just need to get enough charge to get home. So we got a temperature this morning of about 6 degrees, and the efficiency of my driving is just over 244 watt hours per mile, so just over 4 miles per kilowatt hour. We're going to a rapid charger in Forres, and I'm hoping we won't be staying there for too long. Well, here we are at Orchard Road car park in Forres, and we are now charging, which is excellent. So it looks like we're charging at, I think it's 45 kilowatts. Let's just have a look. 41 kilowatts. Excellent. So my plan is to charge up to about 32% and then we'll be on our way. Okay, so we've now got 30% charge. That's enough to get home, 52 miles. So here we just stop it and then we're good to go. Right, time to go home. Okay, let's get out of here. Okay, so it's going to be a fine sunny day today. Solar panels are already generating electricity. Well, I used the recharging opportunity to just get a few minutes of sleep amongst other things, but I was there all told for about 15 minutes. The price of electricity there was 30 pence per kilowatt hour for a rapid charge. That is the price which Moray Council will charge. Much more reasonable in my opinion than Highland Council. Now if you're in Forres during the daytime, there is a lovely park to go. Come on pigeon, what are you going to do? Thank you very much. Yes, there's a lovely park worth visiting, and definitely would recommend stopping by in Forres if you're in the area. Right, let's get onto the main road. And off we go. And the sun has risen. So we'll be in Elgin before too long, and then onwards to home. Well, here we are, almost home sweet home. The end of a very long marathon of driving. to get to 4 points of the compass, 4 points of the Scottish compass. And here we are. Let's have a look at a few things. Let's look at trips. And if we look at trip A, that journey between all from home to home, 1,078 miles, and we did an average of 229 watt hours per mile, consuming 246 kilowatt hours. So, not a bad effort. So, can I recommend doing this Points of the Compass challenge? Well, not the way I did it. Doing it in 2.5 days is symptomatic of someone who doesn't have enough time, and I am quite a busy person these days. But if you take 4 or 5 days and you like to stay in hotels and bed and breakfasts or go into proper campsites, then yes, I think you'll enjoy the challenge. Is an electric car more than up to the challenge? Absolutely yes. The limiting factor for me was not my electric car, it was me. I had to manage my fatigue, and when you're driving for 12 to 14 hours a day, it's important to get proper rest at suitable intervals. So all told, whilst my car was charging, I wasn't waiting for it, I was doing other things. My car was spending more time waiting for me than I was waiting for my car. Now, it is, on the other hand, disappointing that I've got that mechanical defect which developed during this journey. 24,000 miles is how many miles my Tesla has done, roughly speaking. And for a ball joint to start making squeaking noises like that is, in my opinion, unacceptable, even if it is covered under warranty. It seems like even though this car is 2021 model, they still haven't gotten to the bottom of this particular defect, even though it's quite common. Repair costs in terms of spare parts is quite cheap, but in terms of Tesla labour service centres, it would be expensive if it's out of warranty. That said, I do think garages should be able to, independent garages such as Pitmackie Garage, I hope they will be able to handle that when the car does eventually go out of warranty. So there's nothing more for me to do other than give my car a good car wash, and you can thank me for removing these midges from the Highlands, and hopefully you'll get slightly fewer midges to be bitten by. I've had a few bites here during my camping trips overnight. Best to camp at the headlands rather than in the valleys, that's for sure. So in the meantime, I'd like to thank you all for watching, and I'll talk to you again very soon.